Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshakable, remaining calm while everyone else is losing their heads? The secret isn't magic. It's a mindset built on quiet strength, discipline, and the art of not letting emotions control your reactions. This video will reveal the inner workings of the Stoic mentality, showing you the step-by-step path to mastering your own resilience. Why Stoics rarely complain or react. Stoic Mindset Resilience. Compiled and published by Stoic Mindfulness. Lesson 1. The Power of Inner Restraint. Imagine standing at dawn on the edge of a vast, silent lake. The world is utterly still, except for the gentle ripples of water, created not by disturbance from the outside, but by forces you guide from within. In the hush of this moment, it becomes clear that true power resides in quiet self-control, not in the waves that crash or shout upon the surface, but in the deep currents moving beneath. The image calls us to recognize a truth. Within each of us lies the capacity to influence our own internal weather, to become the calm in the center of any storm. This is the untold story of inner restraint, often overlooked, yet the foundation of every unshakable life. Nearly everyone has known the heat of a moment spiraling beyond their command. A fleeting glance that stings, harsh words echoing louder within than without, the nagging worry of being misunderstood or left unheard. Emotions, when left unbridled, can sweep us away like ancient ships tossed by unruly winds, steering us towards turbulence and regret. Think back to the times frustration or anger overtook your best intentions. Moments when pulse quickened and clarity vanished, replaced by prickling defensiveness or the urge to retaliate. We may resolve to stay calm, to pause before reacting, yet somehow find ourselves caught in old patterns, our days colored by reactions rather than calm intention. Why does this happen, and what does it cost us? The common struggle is that we are often conditioned to equate power with display, with fiery outbursts or visible assertion, where our emotions dictate the tone and direction of our lives. This reactionary stance, subtle or overt, is a heavy chain masquerading as strength. Each unguarded reaction, each word flung too fast, is a tiny force of erosion on the bedrock of self-respect and serenity. And so, lives become a never-ending push and pull, where the world seems to have its hands on our levers, playing our moods like an instrument. It is exhausting, and for many, it feels inescapable. But this is where ancient Stoic wisdom burns like a guiding lantern in the night. The transformative solution is to cultivate the art of inner restraint, the quiet yet powerful resolve to hold the reins on our urge to react. Inner restraint is not the suppression of feeling, but the conscious choice to pause, to channel emotion into clarity instead of chaos. Imagine yourself not as a victim of the currents, but as the archer, steady hand raised, breath held, choosing when and how to release your arrow. This perspective flips the story of control on its head. Power is no longer measured by how forcefully we can react, but by how masterfully we maintain our composure, and in that silence, gain true influence. Cultivating the power of inner restraint changes everything at its core. Moments that would once provoke you now become opportunities to observe, reflect, and shape your world from the inside out. Restraint grants you a certain magnetism. People sense the controlled blaze behind your calm exterior. You become respected not just for what you say, but for what you choose not to say. Within this dynamic pause, a quiet confidence grows, for you are undefinable by others' provocations. Over time, you will notice fear subsiding. What once felt threatening now passes through you, unable to find a fertile place to land. This is the birth of the silent Stoic, the man or woman whose restraint does not diminish them, but magnifies their presence and their peace. When you become this unmoved beacon, others are drawn to your strength. Suddenly, you are not tossed by the moods of the world, but guide your own course with precision and grace. The ancient philosophers knew that emotional mastery was never won in loud displays or through brittle bravado. Instead, they likened it to a still fire, a heart burning with the discipline of knowing what to rise to and what to let pass silently by. With time and mindful practice, you will begin to understand that each moment of restraint is an act of immense impact, a message to your mind that you are choosing your response and thereby your destiny. This steady training narrows the gap between stimulus and reaction, offering you a wider field of vision and a freer mind. By holding back, you unlock new sources of energy and creativity, because you are wasting less on what cannot serve you. Each small triumph strengthens your discipline. The world's chaos no longer finds an easy foothold within you. The power of inner restraint is a living skill. It sits at the intersection of intention and action, of emotion and reason, inviting you to rise above what is expected and become what is exceptional. As you practice, you begin to radiate not the fire of rage, but the unwavering heat of self-mastery, a flame that endures the winds of life, unquenched and quietly victorious. Remember, the most compelling strength is not in unending resistance, but in knowing exactly when to hold, when to release, and above all, trusting yourself to set the rhythm for the life you truly want to lead. Begin today by pausing before you react, taking a deep breath, and choosing to respond rather than be led by impulse. Each small victory builds your emotional core, making you more confident, peaceful, and respected. Challenge yourself to notice moments of rising emotion and consciously choose restraint. Watch how clarity and quiet strength begin shaping your response to the world. Now that you're building this foundation of inner control, the next lesson will guide you in detaching emotion from judgment, giving you even greater freedom. If this resonates, subscribe, leave a like, and share your story or suggestions in the comments to help us all grow together. Lesson 2. Detaching emotion from judgment. Picture yourself as an old mariner at sea, standing on the deck beneath a boundless sky, your ship slicing silently through heavy mist. One moment, golden sunlight glimmers on the waves. The next, gray clouds gather, the air thick with foreboding. The sky does not ask your permission to change, and yet you continue to steer. This ever-shifting seascape is your emotional life, swelling with joy, darkening with worry, churning with anger or shame, sometimes all within a single hour. Life pushes us across unknown waters, greeting us with storms and sun alike. Yet the mariner's secret is knowing that the tempest and the calm exist not to be feared or worshipped, but acknowledged and navigated. Here lies the power to detach emotion from judgment, a core strength of the Stoic mindset that transforms not just resistances, but the very currents of daily living. The struggle to manage emotions begins the moment something, big or small, strikes a hidden chord within us. A careless comment from a colleague, an unexpected setback, a friend's distant mood. Instantly, you feel a surge inside. Irritation, embarrassment, anxiety, perhaps even resentment. For most people, this is the end of the road. The emotion arrives, and we judge it to be right or wrong, good or bad. The internal voice whispers, "This anger means I've been wronged. This anxiety means disaster is near." These judgments aren't neutral. They shape everything that follows, distorting your reactions, shrinking your freedom, and narrowing your view like fog banks closing in on the sea. The more you judge your initial feeling, the more you become its captive, clinging tighter to the wheel even as your compass spins out of control. It's exhausting to live locked in that cycle of emotional rise and fall, where you allow every wave to determine your course. The pain of this cycle is familiar to many. It's waking up with dread after a tense conversation, replaying it with harsher colors in your mind, and feeling again the sting of emotion as if it were unfolding anew. It's doubting yourself because you think your anger or sadness points to something fundamentally flawed within you, or in the world around you. This is where discouragement takes root, convincing many that emotional mastery is impossible, or reserved for a few serene souls immune to conflict. But Stoicism proposes something far more radical. Your emotions and your judgments are not bound together, nor must they steer your fate. Here's where the transformation begins. Adopting the stance of the silent, watchful mariner, you learn that the wave of feeling is not the same as the interpretation you tie to it. You do not need to leap overboard just because the wind rises. Instead, Stoics invite us to recognize feelings as they arise. Fear, disappointment, irritation, while gently refusing to render any verdict about their worth. In practice, this means noticing there is sadness here, without deciding it proves your weakness or anyone else's wrongdoing. your internal dialogue begins to shift. Emotions become signals, not sentences. Understanding and internalizing this difference opens up immense space inside. When you no longer fuse your emotion to immediate judgment, a profound clarity grows, like the sky clearing as the storm passes. You start to realize that anger can simply be anger, not a force demanding retaliation. Sadness can just be sadness, asking for recognition, not identification. This is the ancient wisdom alive in our time. It's the foundation behind the Stoics' infamous calm, and the reason others are drawn to their subtle strength. By practicing this detachment, you wield emotional events not as orders, but as opportunities for self-mastery. This discipline of naming and observing emotions, rather than forcing conclusions, trains your mind to weather crisis with equanimity. Just as a seasoned archer waits for the right moment to release an arrow, you gain the skill of pausing before you judge, refusing to let fleeting surges define character or intent. The benefits are not limited to your own sense of well-being. You will see ripple effects in your relationships, work, and self-image. People sense your stability, trust your composure, and are inspired by your ability to meet each moment in its true size, not as disaster nor as triumph, but as another turn in the voyage. With every day you practice this, your mind grows more resilient, your emotions less intimidating, and your vision broader, revealing a horizon full of possibilities instead of roadblocks. Whenever you feel emotion rising, pause and simply name it without judgment, noticing how its grip loosens and your clarity grows stronger. With consistent practice, you'll find more peace, empathy, and power in every interaction. Stay curious, because our next lesson will teach you how to respond without immediate reaction. Remember to subscribe, like, and share your perspective below. Lesson 3. Responding without immediate reaction. Envision a mountain standing under a turbulent sky, its silent, immovable presence unmatched by the lashing winds and rolling thunder above. The world shakes and storms around it, but the mountain does not flinch. It does not answer to every fleeting storm. There is a rare, commanding energy in such stillness, a magnetism that comes only from the refusal to be hurried. This same energy exists in people who master the art of responding without immediate reaction. Their presence alone draws trust, their calm is contagious, and their minds turn stressful moments into wellsprings of strength. Yet for many, this strength feels like a mountain too distant to reach. Inside most of us burns a constant challenge: how not to leap at every provocation. A scornful remark, a sudden frustration at work, a loved one's misunderstanding, or a tiny mishap that threatens to spin into rage or despair. These moments seem to demand an answer, a defense, or a burst of feeling. The urge to react is as old as instinct itself. For centuries, it has kept us ready to fight or flee. And yet, when we respond instantly, emotions still boiling, our words are often weapons we later wish to recall. Sharp exchanges, rash decisions, and regretful gestures pile up. In the rear view, we wonder how so many of our days became shaped by whatever flared brightest in a single, unguarded second. This familiar inner storm breeds more than regret. It leaves a lasting fog over our confidence, our relationships, and our ability to grow into the strongest versions of ourselves. In a world that demands speed and delivers pressure, responding instantly has become the norm, not the exception, and each hasty reply empties our energy a little more. Behind this pattern is a subtle fear, the fear that if we don't defend, explain, correct, or participate right away, we will lose control or miss out. For so many, this cycle is exhausting, but feels inescapable. The result is lives lived at breakneck pace, feelings always just beneath the skin, relationships frayed by words and actions spoken in haste. But the ancient Stoics, observing the world's chaos from their own inner mountain, knew another way. The solution they practiced is both practical and powerful: the conscious creation of pause. Imagine the disciplined archer once more, lifting bow and arrow not in panic, but in serene anticipation. Instead of releasing at random, the archer waits for the wind to soften and his hands to steady. Action is not eliminated, it is refined, shaped by awareness rather than agitation. A deliberate pause before answering, whether in speech, decision, or movement, gives you time to understand not just what you feel, but why and how you might best respond. The path to this discipline lies in becoming mindful of the space between stimulus and action. It is the difference between being pushed by life and guiding your own way through it. Practicing this pause means inserting even the smallest breath, silent count, or conscious gesture between what happens and your answer. Over time, this pause expands, turning what was once a split-second trigger into an open field, a place to consider, choose, and create. It is the birthplace of true self-mastery, for when you lovingly withhold your reaction, you are no longer the servant of your emotion or the environment, but the conscious steward of your character. What begins as a momentary act of restraint becomes, through repetition, a well-ingrained reflex. You start seeing everything with new eyes. Tensions simmer instead of boil. The harsh comment becomes a puzzle to solve, rather than a threat to strike down. Your relationships grow strong. Trust is built through your reliable calm, and even your inner landscape is transformed. Anxiety fades when you understand you need not react. Confidence swells as you realize how much choice you truly have. This pause is not avoidance. It's an invitation to respond with wisdom. To train your mind to act, not merely to react. It unlocks influence, radiates presence, and plants you firmly in the seat of self-command, making your quiet pause more powerful, more attractive, and more impactful than any immediate retort. In cultivating response, not reaction, you embody the very spirit of the silent Stoic. Undefeated, unhurried, and unwavering at life's stormy peaks. Start by pausing before you speak or act. Count to 3, breathe deeply, and notice your feelings shift. This simple discipline strengthens your calm, builds respect, and deepens your self-mastery. Begin today, celebrate every small win, and remember, next you'll learn how to hold space before speaking. Subscribe, like, and share your thoughts with us for greater growth together. Lesson 4. Holding space before speaking. Picture a candle flickering in the center of a pitch-black room. The darkness is vast, yet the light does not rush to illuminate every shadow at once. It glows patiently, steadily, revealing more as your eyes adjust to its presence. There is profound power in this patience, a radiant confidence that does not need to interrupt the silence to feel heard. In our noisy, hurried lives, most of us forget the deep magic of simply holding space, pausing with intention before filling moments with words. This too is the heartbeat of the Stoic, the mark of one whose self-mastery emanates not from what is said, but from the silent strength that chooses when and if to speak at all. The conflict is everywhere, in conversations that escalate quickly, misunderstandings sparked by impulsive responses, or regret that lingers after we voice displeasure in haste. How often have you felt that itch to fill every pause, the discomfort of someone else's silence, or the sharp urgency to defend yourself before the other person has finished their thought? Our modern world prizes quick comebacks and instant feedback, rewarding those who blurt the fastest answer. This constant filling of space with words feels safer. It keeps us from confronting those delicate, vulnerable moments when true understanding is just beginning to bloom. Yet within every urge to interrupt, correct, or explain too soon, we edge further from clarity, gentle wisdom, and genuine connection. This struggle taps into a problem nearly everyone faces. We fear silence. Silence feels exposing. We believe it makes us weak, unknown, or misunderstood. Many worry that if they do not speak quickly, their perspective will vanish, their worth diminished. We confuse speaking first with leading, associate speaking more with being right, and imagine that only through sound do we have value. Such habits can create tension, cycle arguments endlessly, and leave all parties unheard and unvalued. Communication in relationships, friendships, or the workplace fractures when there is no room for breath, no moment to consider, no period to allow another's words to settle. Ultimately, our best intentions dissolve into noise. Yet, ancient wisdom offers a gentle, transformative cure to the tyranny of hasty speech. Holding space before responding. The Stoics believe that true mastery is measured not in speech, but in the attentive, deliberate gaps between words. Imagine the discipline of a ship's captain, steering quietly through fog, pausing to listen for signals from beyond the visible. This space, the purposeful stillness before replying, signals confidence. fosters safety, and invites others into a dance of real understanding. Instead of racing ahead, you stand firm, absorbing, processing, and reflecting before letting words pass your lips. Holding space is not detachment or passivity. It is the noble act of giving yourself and others the room to arrive at the heart of what really matters. The benefits of cultivating this skill are remarkable. By waiting, even for a breath or two before responding, you anchor yourself against emotional tides. You grant the conversation meaning. You allow others to feel heard and respected. An undeniable charisma grows from this composure. People are drawn to those who listen deeply, who do not fear silence, who radiate the silent fire of thoughtfulness. With each measured pause, your words become more intentional and weighty. Your presence leaves an impact felt long after the conversation ends. Relationships grow stronger, misunderstandings fade, and you gain the trust of those around you, not for how much you say, but for the spaciousness you bring to every dialogue. This lesson, alive with ancient wisdom, gently trains your mind for deeper awareness and continued self-control. Holding space allows you to unlock the door to careful reflection and conscious response. It becomes a shield against fear and rash decisions, nurturing the silent Stoic spirit, undaunted, unhurried, and always a choice maker. Over time, embracing quiet before speech builds your emotional core, allowing you to connect, lead, and impact at a level unmatched by those still caught in the whirlwind of immediate reaction. Through holding space, you embody a wisdom as enduring as the oldest fires, strong, inviting, and unafraid of a single, meaningful pause. When you next feel the urge to answer quickly, let silence fill the space. Breathe, count to 5, and truly listen before you reply. This small practice deepens respect, quiets conflict, and reveals your inner strength. Start today as a gentle challenge. In our next session, discover how pain becomes perception. Share your thoughts, subscribe, and keep growing with us. Lesson 5. Turning pain into perception. Picture a blacksmith forging a blade beneath a rain of glowing sparks. Each strike of the hammer, each moment of searing heat and pressure, shapes what was once raw and formless into something sharp and shining. In this fiery process, pain is not an enemy to escape, but a force that transforms, revealing hidden strength and potential where only discomfort once lived. The ancient Stoics understood that life itself is such a forge. Our hardships, disappointments, and wounds are the hammer and heat, which when faced with a steady mind, help us craft our strongest selves. Every challenge we meet, every heartache and loss is another chance to turn pain into clearer perception and deeper wisdom. For most people, pain, physical, emotional, or mental, can feel unforgiving and relentless. Perhaps it's the sting of failure, the ache of rejection, a season of loss, or the dull, ongoing pressure of unmet hopes. When pain strikes, the immediate urge is to push it away, escape, or numb ourselves by any means necessary. It's natural to resist discomfort, to ask, "Why did this happen to me?" or "When will this end?" Often, this resistance only magnifies our suffering, making every prayer for relief or avoidance feel both desperate and fruitless. We may start believing that joy and pain cannot coexist, that every hardship blocks us from discovering a life of peace or fulfillment. This struggle is universal. Underneath daily routines and smiles, so many quietly battle old hurts or present crises, feeling trapped by circumstance or memory. People wonder, how can I move forward after what I've lost? Or, where is hope in the midst of pain? When hardship lingers, it paints the world in darker hues, clouds our sense of purpose, and shrinks confidence. The pressure to put on a brave face can feel heavy and isolating, leaving the pain unresolved beneath the surface where it quietly governs thoughts and actions. For anyone searching for freedom from this cycle, modern solutions often suggest distraction or superficial happiness rather than meaningful transformation. Yet, within every hardship lies an invitation to see pain not as the end of our strength, but as the beginning of a new kind of sight. Stoic philosophy teaches us that suffering, witnessed and embraced with courage, can unlock parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Instead of running from pain or drowning it in denial, the Stoic art is to approach it as a teacher, observing, reflecting, and asking, "What can I learn from this moment?" In this shift, the blade is forged. pain no longer simply wounds but reveals. Each challenge invites the question, how can this hardship sharpen my awareness, grow my compassion, or guide my next step? By tying pain to perception, we transform it from pointless suffering into fuel for wisdom. Imagine the disciplined archer aiming at an obscured target. It is the struggle of seeing through the mist, the tension in the bow, that makes the shot possible and meaningful. Every disappointment and setback clarifies what truly matters, strengthens resilience, and grants perspective on what you can control versus what you cannot. The fire that could once burn you becomes instead a steady flame within, a quiet force that lights your way even in darkness. Embracing pain as perception means treating every trial as an opportunity for reflection. When anger surges or sadness washes over you, the Stoic practice is to witness it clearly, neither shrinking from it nor losing yourself in it. Ask yourself, what is this pain revealing? How can I grow from it? With every repetition, you build inner muscles of patience, empathy, and discernment. Over time, the world's sharp edges do not cut as deeply, for you have learned to find meaning and possibility even in discomfort. In this patient transformation, you unlock the silent Stoic's power, undefeatable, not because suffering disappears, but because you now see the world with braver, wiser eyes. When pain appears, pause and ask what it's teaching you. Then write down at least one insight gained. Doing this daily will transform wounds into wisdom, building your confidence and deeper perspective. Begin this reflective practice now, embracing pain as your guide. In our next lesson, we'll explore letting go of expectation. Subscribe, like, and share your growth stories below. Lesson 6. Letting go of expectation. Imagine a kite flying high above a wide field, its tail fluttering above the shifting earth. It soars when the wind permits and dips when the currents change. The kite never fights the breeze. Instead, it rides each gust with grace, unburdened by what it should encounter, gliding with complete acceptance of the present air. This image of effortless flight contains a secret that eludes most minds, a freedom born not of control, but of release. In a world obsessed with ambition, guarantees, and the illusion of certainty, there is immense power waiting for those willing to let go of rigid expectations and welcome life as it comes. As humans, we constantly wrestle with expectation, a silent architect crafting blueprints in our minds for how things ought to unfold, how people ought to behave, and how our journeys should appear. We carry images of the perfect relationship, the flawless career, the ideal outcome. Our hearts subtly demand that the world aligns with these carefully constructed ideals. Yet, life rarely steps in time with our visions. The twists of reality, unforeseen detours, disappointments, and reversals often send the strongest among us into cycles of frustration, self-doubt, or resentment. The inner conflict emerges. We long to feel secure and in control, but are repeatedly confronted by the unpredictable nature of existence. This painful tension touches everyone. We may fixate on results at work, silently tally who recognizes our effort, or expect certain words of comfort from loved ones. Each time life refuses to match our script, disappointment seeps in, and frustration quickly follows. Relationships wilt under the weight of unseen demands. Professional opportunities feel soured by comparison to our expectations, and our own self-worth gets entangled with outcomes we never fully command. Sometimes the fear of failed expectations is enough to halt us before we start, robbing us of courage and connection. In our pursuit of certainty, we clench our fists so tightly around what we want that the joy and richness of the present slip quietly through our grasp. Though this is a universal struggle, the path forward does exist, clear and quietly revolutionary. The Stoic tradition suggests that true freedom arises not from shaping the world to fit our wishes, but from loosening our grip on expectation altogether. In practical terms, this doesn't mean giving up ambition or becoming passive. It means stepping into a mindset of acceptance, practicing the art of responding wholeheartedly to what is within your control, and letting go of the anxiety over what is not. Imagine again the archer aiming at a distant, unseen target. She focuses her skill, adjusts her stance, and releases the bowstring with clarity, understanding that much of where the arrow lands depends upon the wind. Her power lies not in controlling every outcome, but in releasing her tension and aiming with calm precision, present to each moment's unfolding, rather than chained to a single result. Adopting this perspective transforms experience itself. When you let go of expectation, you remove the invisible measuring stick by which you constantly judge yourself, your world, and the people around you. Disappointments lose their sting, replaced by curiosity and openness. Relationships flourish, since you meet those you care for without imposing hidden rules or requirements. Confidence grows, born from the understanding that your worth is not attached to outcomes, but to presence and engagement. By unlocking yourself from the prison of should-be, you train your mind to savor life as it is, uncovering gratitude, adaptability, and authentic impact. Letting go is not giving up. It is learning to move through life undefeated, grounded in clear vision and inner peace, ready for anything. Notice where you feel let down by unmet expectations, and one by one, gently release your grip on the outcome. Focus on your actions, attitude, and presence. You'll find lightness, resilience, and greater appreciation in every moment. Practice this daily and watch your peace expand. Next, we will discover the secrets of mastering stillness through awareness. Subscribe, like, and share your unique journey. Lesson 7. Mastering stillness through awareness. Imagine a lake at dawn, its waters vast and perfectly smooth, mirroring the sky in flawless silence. There is power in this stillness, not the stillness of emptiness, but of readiness and quiet strength. Nothing disturbs the surface, and yet the depths are alive, teeming with unseen movement and potential. This image leads us to the rarest kind of mastery, the strength to remain steady when others are swept away by the chaos of ordinary life. To cultivate this living stillness is to step into a state of awareness so profound that nothing unsettles your inner calm, no matter the waves that batter your shoreline. Many struggle daily with the restless tides inside their own minds. From the moment the alarm rings to late at night, the mind is a sea of thoughts. Regrets about the past, fears for the future, endless distractions surging like unruly winds. Under all this movement lies another, quieter desire, the longing for peace, the need to rest in a place where nothing can shake your sense of self. Have you ever found yourself rushing through the day, reacting to every demand, feeling frayed by noise and obligation, wishing there were a pause button you could press? You yearn for that lake-like presence in your own heart. Yet even in moments of quiet, the ripples of anxiety or restlessness keep you from true calm. The problem is familiar and deeply human. In a world designed to stimulate your senses and fragment your focus, finding any kind of real stillness feels like an impossible task. Notifications blink for attention, responsibility calls relentlessly, and the mind is tugged again and again by worry or temptation. You may try meditation or silence for a little while, only to discover that the mind refuses to cooperate, flooding you with memories, plans, or self-criticism. The silence you hoped for often quickly fills with noise from within. You tell yourself you are too distracted to change, perhaps even doomed to a life of tension and distraction. This condition affects not only your peace of mind, but also the quality of your decisions, relationships, and creativity. But the ancient Stoics and all those who have studied mastery of the mind offer a different invitation, a gentle, practical path to cultivating lasting awareness and unshakable calm. The solution does not require you to escape your life or quiet the world. Rather, it asks you to become fiercely aware of your own present moment experience. This kind of awareness is not the absence of thought, nor does it demand you control or judge your mind. Instead, mastering stillness means choosing, again and again, to return to the here and now, anchoring your attention on what is real in this instant. Your breath, the sensation of your body, or the subtle sounds around you. Like a ship's captain, listening for the faintest change in wind, training awareness means tuning in gently, observing everything without getting swept away by passing storms. The benefits of mastering stillness are profound and far-reaching. As your awareness sharpens, the relentless chatter in your mind loses its hold, and impulsive reactions become rare. You start moving through the day with a strong but supple presence, calmly navigating each event as it comes instead of being pulled or toppled by circumstance. Decision-making becomes clearer, relationships deepen, creativity blossoms, and you radiate a quiet confidence that others admire. By learning to rest in this living stillness, you unlock a deep reserve of energy and insight, a still fire that burns undetected within. You find yourself less rattled by negativity and more open to the beauty and subtlety of each experience. Practice begins with simple daily acts of turning your focus to what's true right now, feeling the air move over your skin, listening without expectation, noticing the pause between thoughts. It does not happen all at once. Mastery is a process, like water wearing away stone through gentle insistence. As you come back to your anchor again and again, you start seeing your mind as the wide lake, able to reflect the storms without being destroyed by them, able to return naturally to calm. In this way, awareness becomes your greatest ally, unlocking the silent Stoic within and training your mind in a wisdom that is both timeless and unbreakable. Begin each morning by sitting quietly, focusing on your breath, and gently guiding your awareness back when it drifts. Practice pausing throughout your day, observing your thoughts without judgment. Bit by bit, the noise will soften, and you will uncover a lasting stillness within. Stay committed and celebrate every small step toward mastery, knowing growth is always possible. Thank you for joining this journey into the heart of Stoic resilience, emotional mastery, and mindful presence. By embracing these lessons, you are unlocking powerful growth within yourself. Your progress matters. Remember to like, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe to our channel to stay inspired on the path ahead.